Hello everyone, it's the Fly for Doctor. Today we're going to be talking about corns and calluses and how you can get rid of them at home. Corns and calluses can be completely debilitating. I've had patients who come in my office. I had one patient who came in and was like, I can't even praise the Lord because I can't stand in church. I mean, don't you want to get rid of it? Stick with me and I'll show you how. All right, what are corns and calluses? These are diffuse thickening of the skin, either at the bottom of the skin or the top of the skin or between the toes or between your joints. Well, how can you tell what's the difference between a corn and a callus? A corn has a central aspect or a central nidus that kind of feels like a corn kennel. It feels really hard, and when you're pressing it, you can almost feel like a seed right in between it or right in the middle of it. Well, a callus doesn't have that. Typically, it's just diffuse, it's spread around, it's about the same thickness all around. But in a corn, the central aspect of it is super thick, and you can kind of tell that this part is a little harder than the rest of the skin. It is sometimes said that not all calluses are corns, but all corns are calluses, which makes sense. The only difference between a corn and a callus is that central aspect that's really super thick. So what causes these things? A lot of the times what cause these are external pressures, so your body is building extra skin in an area where there is an external pressure or an internal pressure that is continuous. It's your body's way actually of trying to protect itself. So your body's actually trying to do you a favor. Didn't you know that? All right, I'm kidding. And so that's what usually happens. So it's some sort of pressure that's going on. That's what causes calluses. Now, sometimes some of these corns, they look like it's caused from just pressure, but sometimes it could actually be a wart. Or it could be something that's called a porokeratosis. And what that is a plugged sweat gland. So instead of that sweat gland to just kind of allow all the sweat to come out, it's plugged and it's clogged. And so it just forms this thickening. And a lot of the times you just kind of have to cut it out, because if not, it doesn't get better. It's really hard to try to unclog that sweat gland. And we already have enough sweat glands. We don't need no more. We don't need our feet sweating and smelling and all that. Anyways. I digress. So corns and calluses are usually caused from either some sort of external pressure. It could be from our shoes. It could also be the biomechanics of our foot and how we walk. So depending on how you walk, if you're putting extra pressure either on this side of your toe or this side or any part of your foot, it could cause it as well. Sometimes it could also be resulting from an internal bone growth, any bony prominence that's not supposed to be there. If you have a bone spur in an area that's not supposed to be there, that could also cause a corn or a callus. That's typically between your toes, at the top of your toes. If you have little camel toes, sometimes you may have a little corn or callus at the top of that as well, and that's something you definitely have to look out for. Sometimes also if one of your metatarsals are longer than normal and you're just bearing a normal weight on there, you could have a corn or a callus. Another variation is a fissure. A fissure is just a crack in the skin that goes through the different layers of the epidermis, and so it becomes really thick and cracked, and sometimes it can even break through the dermis, and you see that right the back of the heel a lot of the times, and lots of patients have these. So yeah, these are just the things, or some of the few things that actually cause a corn or a callus. So how do we get rid of this? Well, first, for starters, we have to eliminate the cause of this. If it is a bony prominence, well, I mean, you can't really get rid of the bone on your foot, but there are, surgical options for that. But if you don't want to have surgery and you don't want to do anything of that sort, you don't want to go drastic, I'm going to teach you some of the things that you can definitely do at home that can help keep this corns and calluses away. So my first tip is a foot soak. I know lots of people soak their foot with Epsom salt. I do like Epsom salt, don't get me wrong. The only reason I'm a little weary about it is a little drying. I like a white vinegar or apple cider vinegar soak, and I would mix 1 part vinegar to 4 parts water and soak your feet in it. Soak it for about 10 to 20 minutes, make sure it's nice warm water, and that would just really moisturize all of that dead skin, all of that dry skin, all of that excess skin that you have around your foot. Disclaimer, all of this that I am about to say is not for diabetic patients or pre-diabetic patients. Maybe a little dramatic right now, but I am absolutely serious. Seriously, if you are diabetic, I am sorry, but this is not for you. Please call your foot doctor. Please call your dermatologist. They are the ones who would specialize in taking care of your corns and calluses. A podiatrist will give you very good attention. It's usually covered by insurance. If you don't have insurance, a lot of podiatrists have very good cash prices, but you need a specialist to look at your foot because you are high risk, and so we don't want any break in the skin that could cause issues, problems, wounds, infections, or loss of toes or foot or limb. So please, if you have any blood flow issues, this does not apply to you. If you have neuropathy, again, this does not apply to you. The rest of the people, you can watch this because these are things that you can do at home. So when you soak your foot for about 10 to 20 minutes and your skin is now nice and soft, one of my absolute favorite things to use is a pumice stone. So back home we have these black pumice stones that are quite aggressive, but you can use that on your corns, use that on your calluses, and just kind of break up that skin. Some people use not a cheese grater. It looks like a cheese grater because it has a metal on that, the metal grater thing, and you get a lot of foot cheese when you use that. I'm not too fond of the cheese grater. I call it a cheese grater. I am pretty sure it has its own name, but that's just what I call it. But I'm not too fond of that just because I feel like it could break the skin and introduce infection and things like that. So I prefer the pumice stone because rarely will it break the skin and cause, infection. Just make sure that your pumice stone, if it's for you, it's for you. Don't share with other people because you could pass things and they could pass things onto you. So just individualize yours and just keep it to you for your own individual use. But anyways, my absolute favorite is a pumice stone. So after you've soaked your feet, just use a pumice stone and just scrub at it and watch all that dead skin just come off of it. It's just so amazing. And I actually have a video on my other channel, which is my work channel, where I show some of the things that I do. Danielle Foot and Ankle Center. If you just go on YouTube, you'll find it, where I'm just taking off a callus. Now, I'm using a blade there because I'm in clinic, it's in a controlled environment, and it's a patient who has diabetes. Don't use a blade. I cannot tell you how many patients come into clinic and just like, oh yeah, I do it with a blade, or I saw they even bring it sometimes, and I'm just like, especially if you have an underlying condition, Lord, please don't use it. So my advice would be a pumice stone. If you want to use a cheese grater, that's fine, but just know that you have to be very careful. Do not take off too much skin. Another thing that you can use is an emery board. You want to make sure that you have a high grit or sandpaper, about an eighth. You can use sandpaper as well to sand it down. But my absolute favorite after soaking your feet is using a pumice stone. My next thing is to have these topical lotions and creams. And one of the ones that I really like is Calluses. This is one of my absolute favorite products, and the reason is because it contains salicylic acid, urea, and glycerin. And how does salicylic acid work? It works by breaking up the bonds that form between the skin as well as the keratin that forms, and this is really great for keratin plugs, and that's why it works for dry, cracked, scaly skin, those heel fissures, the corns, and the calluses. And then glycerin, how that works is it pulls water to the level of the skin that's needed. And so it could pull water from the air. It's a humectant, meaning it'll pull water to wherever it is, so within the body and within the air. So when you apply it to a surface, that surface gets moisturized. While urea in low doses actually does the same thing. It's a humectant, and so it pulls moisture either from the air, from the environment, or from within the skin. But in high doses, what it actually does is break down the proteins that form the skin or forms that layer of skin, and as such breaks down that hard skin surface. It's causing that hardness and that thickening that you can feel. So all of these three are the big ingredients that are in Calluses, and so I absolutely love it. I think it works great. And so what I would do is, after you soak your foot and you've scrubbed it down with a pumice stone or your cheese grater, or anything else, an emery board or anything like that, you apply an even layer all around, okay? All around your foot, and then you concentrate more around the layers or around the areas that have that thick skin. Make sure you wash your hands afterwards because you don't want that medicine touching your face or any other part of your skin, because carosol's percentage of those ingredients are pretty strong, and you don't want, that touching any other part of your body. All right, so when you apply it, you want to wear a nice thick sock. I think that is really what will drive it in, because you don't want to walk around with this cream on your foot and just kind of spread it and it doesn't really get a chance to get in. So what you want to do is, wear your sock and to really just pull moisture to that area and push the medicine deep within the skin layers. Another cream or topical that you could definitely use is Lacthydrin, and it's mainly lactic acid. And how lactic acid works with the skin is, again, it breaks the bonds and loosens the bonds between the skin cells. So all of these things, if you've kind of figured out, they work in a similar manner. So we're trying to break the bonds. We're not trying to have these skins. We're not trying to have them be thick and causing pain and problems and things like that. No. So lactic acid also works. So where can you find lactic acids? Amlactin cream. That's definitely online. You can Google it. You see different creams, and they have one for the entire body, and they have ones that are specific for the foot and hands and things like that, and those would definitely work. Oh, by the way, all these things that I'm saying, they can definitely work on the hands as well as the feet, because skin is skin is skin. So it definitely will work on the foot as well as the hand, these surfaces. So for my hard workers there that will build calluses over their hands, and those that walk a lot or run and things like that, these would definitely help. So amlactin, urea, glycerin, those are great for pregnancy, and so you're not worried about anything of that sort. And then for my regular folks, you can definitely use it. Now, for diabetic patients, you can also do these without the scraping. The scraping is what we don't want to do, because we can definitely break skin and cause infections and things like that. So no. But as far as these creams, you can definitely apply it and it won't have any issue at all. If you do not want to use any of these acids and any of these chemicals and things like that, there is something very basic that you have in your closet, almost guaranteeing you, and if you don't have it, you can easily get it. You can even get it from the dollar store. This is Vaseline, okay? So Vaseline or lanolin, these will definitely help. And so how it works is it works as a sealant. And so that means is it kind of seals the skin and prevents evaporation of whatever moisture or fluid that we have in our skin. So if you're going to be doing that, you want to at least make sure that your skin is properly hydrated. So after you've taken a shower, after you soak, you have some hydration there. You can then apply a glob of the Vaseline there. It'll kind of help to moisturize it by preventing the fluid loss within your skin. Also, make sure you drink lots of water. That'll definitely help. Coconut oil is really great as well, because that definitely also has antimicrobial, antifungal properties. So not only are you moisturizing, you're also keeping at bay these microbes that could even cause more damage or more harm to your skin while they're dry and cracked. Because remember, if your skin is dry and cracked, let's say with fissures or corn that you've been trying to pick at it, that is an easy entrance for bacteria or fungus to get into your skin and just cause much more damage. All right, so now you've done all these things. Well, while you're still healing from all of them, how do you walk in your shoes? How do you prevent pain and things like that? So there are these little toe spacers, and you can honestly get them online. They're silicone, and you just kind of put them between your toes. So if you have one of those corns that are between your toes, between these joints, you just put them between your toes like that, like so, like that. Hey, Tabitha. These are from my TikTok addicts like me. Anyway, so it separates it and just kind of prevents rubbing that may cause some sort of pain or things like that. I really like this one. Another one that you can purchase is this one right here. So this sort of goes like a sleeve, you see? And behind it, it has silicone as well. So that's really awesome. So if it's a corn that's here and it's kind of hurting when you put your shoes on, you just put it like that, and now it's this nice soft jelly like cushion that you have. If your callus is along the side of your big toe or a bunion, we have these little bunion sleeves, and you can just put this on like this, like so, like that. And you know, it prevents that rubbing and that pain and discomfort. We also have different types of paddings that you can definitely use, and all of these, honestly, you can get them over the counter or online. I like these ones, and so they're like these little donuts. They have an adhesive at the back, and what that does is it kind of offloads that area. Especially for corns, this will be absolutely perfect. We have these types as well. You can put it across, you know, the top of your foot to kind of offload the area so it's not rubbing. And then we have moleskin, and so what moleskin does, again, it's all offloading. It tries to keep, you know, pressure away from the area, keeps from rubbing, but it's not thick, it's pretty thin. And so you can apply it to the back of your heel or any other area. So it has an adhesive backing here, and you could even, if you have a specific shoe that you wear that causes pain and discomfort and rubbing and calluses, you could peel it and just kind of put it at the back of it so that this is what's rubbing on your skin and not the leather, which will then in turn cause your skin to be super thick. And last but not least, I have this one right here. It's kind of similar to the toe spacer, so you put it between your toes. So this is good for those, you know, interspace lesions and things like that we have to take care of. For now, this is the end of all of the stuff that I think that you can do at home to definitely keep corns and calluses at bay. So just to kind of reiterate, make sure you soak your foot for about 10 to 20 minutes. You can use the white vinegar or apple cider vinegar soak. You know, make sure you kind of scrub it down, sandpaper, cheese grater, a pumice stone, or even an emery board. Just kind of scrape it down, file it down, open up that skin a little bit, and then apply any of these topical moisturizers that we've talked about. Oh, I need to add one more, Lubriderm. I think Lubriderm, there's a extra moisture one or something that's like, it's really extra thick. That's a really good one as well. So apply any of these moisturizers, whichever one works for you. And I think the key is the occlusive dressing. So either the sock or the saran wrap or a waterproof Band-Aid, whatever it is that will try to push that that cream deep into the skin and soften it, those will definitely help. And after that, for management purposes afterwards, you can use any of these pads that you can get online. I'll try to see if I can find links to them and post them down in the comment below. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Please consider subscribing if you did like this content, and also leave me tips and comments down below. If there are other things that you've been doing that I didn't mention and you think would definitely benefit the community, I'd love to hear about it. Leave it down below. Like and share with your friends and family because they may be suffering from dry skin, and honey, they would need this. Thank you guys again for sticking with me to the end. It's the Fly for Doctor. Till next time, bye-bye.